the late Cardinal Pell in his memoirs observed that we have an increase of attendees at Masses at Christmas in comparison to Easter. And valid observation, over the Christmas season, at every parish that you usually find, there is an increase of Mass times that are given. And that is to accommodate all the many individuals who are coming to Christmas Mass. Cardinal Pell then goes on to reflect upon that observation about why there's an increase in attendance at Masses at Christmas in comparison to Easter. And he explains that it's easy to get on board with Christmas. It's easy to understand about a cute, cuddly baby that you can tickle under the chin. It's something that's warm. It's something that's very domestic. We easily can find that within our own families. When we have children or children are brought into our lives in whatever way, it brings joy into our life. It doesn't matter. And his reflection makes sense. Given our current context and our global situation, even the non-believer can get wrapped up in the sentimentality of Christmas. Nice time with family, food and drink, wrapping Christmas presents and placing them under the tree, singing Christmas carols, having eggnog, might be spiced if you're coming after the midnight Mass, and then watching cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies on Netflix. That's effectively like what we see in the sentimentality of Christmas. And now, don't get me wrong, no offense to those who enjoy those things. But all I'm saying is that, there's something about the spirit of the Christmas season that can make even a Scrooge turn into a decent person. However, I'm gonna do something a little Grinchy here. I'm gonna steal that image of the cute, cuddly baby Jesus. And I'm going to reflect a little bit about a Jesus that I can get on board with as well. And that is the Jesus who is a warrior. The warrior. What do you mean, Father? Jesus a warrior? We're not used to hearing that. Yeah, we're so used to hearing that Jesus was a nice guy who did good stuff. Was a teacher, taught some nice things. Love everyone. He worked some miracles. He did some beautiful things for people. But if that's all Jesus is, and he did all those things, don't get me wrong, but if that's all he is, it's not compelling. It's actually quite boring. How does the most dominant figure in 2,000 years get that kind of domestication? But Jesus is anything but boring. He turned water into wine. He fed thousands of people by multiplying fish and loaves. He walked on water. He raised 3 people from the dead. And let's look at some of the people who followed him. People who were wrapped up in themselves, in lives of sex, money, pleasure. These are people who left that life and followed Jesus. These are things, sex, money, pleasure, these are things that our society finds exciting. For them, they found no excitement in them. They found it boring. That's why they left it. That's why they went and followed Jesus. Because with him, there was the adventure. Jesus is anything but being boring. He is a warrior, and he comes to fight for us. But who is he fighting? Remember that God created everything out of nothing through his sheer goodness and his love. Created everything for love, by love, to love. But there was a creation that rebelled against God and rebels against us. that creation is our enemy, Satan. And God became man to fight this enemy, Satan, for us. But Father, who cares? We can fight this enemy on our own. Why did God have to become a man to do that for us? Because he's real. And he's much more powerful than us. Adam and Eve fell for the lie. They were tricked. They were duped. And because of their action, their lives were destroyed, and all our lives are ruined. The evil one, Satan, has brought us into his dominion. He has captured us, and he's thrown us into prison and thrown out the key. There is no way out on our own. We cannot Shawshank our way out of this. We're stuck there. God steps onto the stage of human history to fight and trick the one who tricked us, the one who captured us, the one who threw us into prison. How? He became man. He hid himself in our humanity so that he could rescue us. He slipped behind enemy lines. And this prophecy and this movement of God, this rescue mission, has been foretold throughout the generations. We look to the prophecy of Isaiah and all the prophets who make this known, that God is going to liberate us, that he is going to rescue us from the dominion of sin and death and bring us into his dominion of life and love. We read, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shone. But how will he do this? How will he rescue us? For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders. His authority shall grow continually, and there shall be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. 700 years later, this prophecy is fulfilled. God, faithful to his promises, that this child given to us is born in time and in space. As we heard in the martyrology at the beginning of Mass, in a specific time and in a specific place, God enters into our human history. And St. Luke points out how he fulfills this prophecy. He says that he was born in an outskirt town of Judea, Bethlehem, the city of David. See, if Jesus is born in the city of David because he's an ancestor of him, that means he is heir to the throne. And if he's heir to the throne, that means he is king. And if he is king, he has authority over his kingdom. St. Luke goes on to do something different, though. He goes on to juxtapose Caesar Augustus and the true King Jesus. It's almost like what St. Luke is doing is, while in prison, while prisoners kind of write little notes to each other and they pass it and slip it to each other, maybe in the cafeteria, maybe at break or at recreation. They have signals. Essentially, it's something that they are doing to rally themselves, to say something great is going to happen. We are going to be set free from this place. St. Luke is doing that, and he does that by showing us the differences between Caesar Augustus and the true King Jesus. Caesar Augustus lives in Rome in a palace with everything at his disposal. The true King Jesus is born in a lowly manger where animals feed. Caesar Augustus is wrapped in all the most finest of robes. Jesus, the true King, is wrapped in swaddling clothes. And you know what that looks like if you're parents. When a child is born, it's wrapped up in a particular way so that they can't hurt themselves, so that their arms are bound and you're able to hold them. He is weak. Caesar Augustus has all the pleasure that he has. He can have everything and anything he wants. Jesus, the true King, is born in poverty, with only the breath of the animals to keep him warm. St. Luke is showing us that Jesus, the true King, is not going to rule, is not going to fight like the earthly kings. Caesar Augustus conquered and had victory over many nations, many places. And he did that through tyranny, through violence, through war. Jesus, the true King, doesn't fight with those weapons. He fights with humility, with poverty, and with love. And as he grows up, he continually fights. Now we can start looking back to all those kind things and nice stuff that he did, all those teachings. Because now we see him fighting for us. And people being liberated because of him, following him. And he ultimately fights that battle for us on the cross. There he goes to the ultimate fight with the evil one. And there on the cross, where he dies, has victory over our enemy, Satan. And because of that victory, we have life, rescued from sin and death. This is the extraordinary news of the gospel. That the God who created everything out of nothing, the billions of galaxies containing billions of stars, he became man for us to set us free from the dominion of sin and death, from darkness, from despair. He saves us from Satan's power. And tonight, we can go to these cute, cuddly baby Jesus. Hidden is a warrior who fights for us, his family. We can go to him as he has his arms outstretched, inviting us to embrace him, to encounter him, to bring him into our life. But look beyond that. See also a child in cruciform. The child who is fighting for you. Whatever battle that you are fighting, he will fight that for you. Whatever darkness, despair, grief, loneliness, anxiety, depression, whatever addiction, sin, evil that you are going through, he is fighting that for you. That's why he became man. That's why we celebrate Christmas. Wherever you find yourself this Christmas season, be still and let him fight for you. For God is a warrior, and Jesus is his name.